So again, welcome to Hatha. Today's practice, like I said, we're going to start on our backs. So just go ahead and head there. You feel a little bit of darkness setting into the room. Allows us to relax the muscles of our face, close our eyes if that feels good to you, and just start to settle yourself down into the floor. These opening moments of today's practice are about just checking in, seeing what's going on with your physical body and what it might be asking for today. If your low back feels a little achy, you might start with bent knees. If you're feeling good in your low back, you might start with straight legs. Just using these first couple moments to just check in. Find that quiet. So as you rest here on the floor, start to observe your breath. Perhaps you move your hands from the floor to rest on your belly. And as the next natural inhale comes into the body, we feel that belly rise up towards the ceiling as the middle section just becomes filled with air. As you exhale, you'll feel your belly button start to fall down closer to your spine, releasing some of that breath, relaxing those abdominal muscles, and just letting everything float out that we don't need. So the inhale breath may last to the count of 4, 5. You'll pause and then exhale just the same, letting that belly slowly fall a little closer to the mat. Tension relaxing out of those shoulders, muscles of the face becoming easy and still. And just keep moving through that gentle pattern of breath, inhaling and exhaling. Using this opportunity to allow those hands to give you the much needed physical reminder that so much of our thoughts, our emotions, feelings are linked to this breath. So if we can slow that breath down and slow everything else down inside. Slow, controlled, easy breath sends signals to the body that we can stop producing cortisol, that stress hormone, at least produce less of it. Get us out of that fight or flight as we rest here and just breathe. Today's opening thought is entitled, "What would my life be like without this reoccurring thought?" We all have thoughts that repeat time and again. Today, when one of these thoughts arises, notice it, take a breath, and consciously let it go. So maybe the thoughts that come up repeatedly in your practice as you move on your mat, either negative about your body or negative about how you hold a pose, let that go. Be kind to yourself as you move through today's time together. If your legs have been long, we're going to go ahead and invite some bends to the knees, walking the feet up the mat, bringing those heels a little closer to your glutes. Hands can stay on your belly, or maybe you even stretch out to the sides, taking a T shape. You might let your knees begin to rock, easy side to side. Opening up the outer hips, feeling a little twist through your trunk. If you feel you can, you might even connect this simple swaying movement with your breath. Inhaling when you stand your knees up, exhaling when you allow your knees to fall to the side. Going only as deep as feels comfortable in your own body today. The next time those knees are back to center, we're going to pause there and invite the right knee in towards your chest. Hands might grab to the front of your shin or the back of your thigh, and you're just going to point and flex the toes, roll around the ankle on that right foot. If you feel comfortable stretching your left leg long, maybe that shape feels good to you, and you extend that left leg down the mat. Now, of course, you can stay right here, or you can invite this right knee over towards the right edge of your mat. Opening up just a little bit there, inner thigh stretch, outer hip. Bringing that knee back to center, hands switch to the back of the thigh, and we extend this foot towards the ceiling, giving yourself a nice big hamstring stretch. If it feels too big today and you've had that left leg long, maybe the left foot comes up the mat, serves as a kickstand as you bend that left knee. Hands can slide up the back side of that right leg. If you feel comfortable doing so, maybe they even reach up towards your ankle. You can extend through your left leg. Give yourself a little bit of a scissor stretch. But of course, anytime that hamstring is a little angry, you can certainly bend that right knee. Allowing that right knee to get a little gentle, bend the knee. Bring that right knee down into the belly one more time. And then just welcome it across the body. It doesn't have to go all the way to the left side, but just slightly over to the left, just giving you a little more love to that outer hip. Doesn't have to be a big twist because it is very early on in our practice. Beautiful. Start to bring that right knee back to center. Plant the right foot down onto the floor and then switch legs. Let the left knee come in this time. Hug it around the shin or the thigh. Maybe you extend the opposite leg, point and flex toes, roll around ankles, everything you just did. We're just going to repeat on the other side. Of course, if you want to welcome that left knee over towards the left edge of your mat, a little inner thigh stretch, under hip. Perfect. Bring that knee back towards center. Go ahead and switch grips to the back of the thigh. Extend that foot up towards the ceiling. You've got the same hamstring stretch we played with before. Remembering that that right foot can be long, or you can bend the right knee and let it serve like a kickstand. Hands might slide up the back side of that left leg towards your ankle. Maybe even extend through your heel. Knowing you can always bend the knee, especially if that hamstring's a little angry. Perfect. Take your time, bring that bent knee back down towards the belly. And then place it back down onto the floor. Both knees are going to bend now. Feet are spaced about hip distance apart. Heels walking as close as you can get them to your glutes. Set for your first bridge pose. Remembering bridge in yoga, our hands are down by our hips, flat to the earth. Our shoulders stay on the ground, as does our head, as we only focus on lifting the hips up off the ground. So imagine you've got a string tied to your belly button and you just take your time to lift your hips up towards the ceiling. Squeezing just a little bit of tension between those knees, inviting the hips to lift up. Holding for one more round of breath. Perfect. And then we'll gently start to lower all that back down to earth. Last thing to hit the mat, lowest part of the back, and then maybe the heels if you have those lifted. We're going to bring the knees in towards the belly one more time and just give it a nice good hug, rocking around, rolling on those lowest parts of the spine. And then you have the option to either invite some gentle forward and back rocking on your spine to get you to your seat, or you can just roll to one side and use the earth. All right, when we find your seat, we're going to sit crisscross if that works. You can always send one leg out, one leg in, whatever feels good to you here. And we're just going to find a nice tall spine. Take your hands out, look for the floor on either sides of your mat, and just kind of play with your shoulders for a minute. You might even close your eyes and lift and lower those shoulders. Start with just some basic circling motions. And then when you feel ready, we'll inhale to lift the hands up above the head. Exhale, release those hands back to your heart. 2 more times just like that. So just easy connection. Gazing upward on your inhale, taking your time to bring it back down to your heart on your exhale. Last one. Really reach for your edges. See where your fingers can go, reaching out to the sides and then up to the top, and then relax it all back down. This time, as you reach your hands up, you're going to pause at the top. Your right hand is going to come down towards the floor, and you're just going to take a little side body stretch. Taking this hand that's in the sky, let it come and just tap just outside that front knee. Right knee there. And then inhale, bring the hands back up, and let's go over to the other side. Same thing. So you're really focusing on intercostal muscles all down the side body. Really letting that side wall have some attention. Hand that's in the sky here might come and tap just outside that front knee. And then we'll inhale to bring all this back up. And exhale the hands back to your heart. Perfect. Let's find tabletop. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Just take your time. As we work for this tabletop position, we're going to jump right into some cat-cow. So if you're comfortable with that sequence, feel free to jump in. The inhale breath, belly will drop down towards the earth, chin and tail lift. Exhale breath, you'll get a rounded back, some rounded shoulders. So this is all about just giving that spine some space. So breathe into each movement and release. Letting go of anything that might be weighing on your mind. All you got to focus on for the next 50 minutes or so is breathing. Just being present on your mat. Reminding yourself that this time is yours and no one else's. So don't let any of those thoughts steal you away. One more time at your own pace. Last time you hit that angry cat, so this cat pose here, go ahead and sit back onto your heels. And find your first child's pose. So child's pose is about some release in the low back, the hips, maybe even softening those shoulders to release some tension in the upper body. We're just going to breathe in this space. So staying in that child's pose for a few more breaths, really surrendering down to the mat. Easy, simple breath. Staying within that child's pose, allow your hands to start walking towards the right edge of your mat. They might even walk off all the way onto the floor on that right side. You can reach for a big stretch, lifting the elbows up off the ground, or you can keep things a little softer. Gently walking those hands back to the center of the mat, we'll let them go the other way. Starting to reach to the other corner of your mat. Same thing, elbows can be up and lifted, or maybe you surrender them down to the mat and relax those shoulders. Perfect. Take your time, hands begin to walk back towards center. And then we'll come up and find your down dog again. Or your tabletop, I'm sorry. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. From here, go ahead and extend your right hand straight out in front. Let the left toes lift and extend behind you. Just take a moment at a balancing table. Now in this balancing table today, we're going to keep that leg extended behind you, but you're going to play a little bit with this arm. So the arm that's straight out in front, you're going to bring it out to the side in somewhat of a T shape, and then bring it back by your hip, and then pull it all the way through and reach back out in front. And you can do this with an open hand. You can do this with a fist. You can kind of play with your wrist and flick your hand and your palm to face different directions. It's just going to depend on balance, what feels good in your shoulder. So it's kind of sneaky core work because as we hang out here focusing on moving that arm, You have to stay nice and balanced through your midsection to hold on to this shape or this pose. Last one. Next time your hand is back reaching forward, go ahead and pause there. Hand comes down to earth. Put the toes on that lifted leg onto the ground and take a half down dog. So what I mean by that is the toes on that lifted leg touching the ground. You're going to gently lift the knee up off the ground and push into the heel of your long extended leg. Gives you a big calf stretch. If that feels too big, keep that knee on the ground and just push through this heel gently. All right, perfect. Take your time, knees go back to mat. We're gonna flip our wrists so we can get a little wrist stretch from being in that tabletop. And maybe you kind of sit back towards your heels, kind of play with what feels good in your wrists. If your knees are a little sensitive today, you can always come up to a higher knee and just play with your wrists. All right, beautiful. Back up to that table. Start extending opposite arm, opposite leg. So build a tabletop so you've got an extended hand, extended leg. And then take the arm that's reaching out in front of you, let it go to the side, to that T, back by your hip, and then all the way back through. Now, depending on your pace, we all kind of did a different number of these before, but we'll just try to see if we can match it a little bit here. Obviously trying to avoid sitting into the hip of the knee that's on the ground. So whatever knee you've got on the ground, try your best not to push the weight over to that knee. Make your leg that's lifted really work for you. All right, next time your hand is back and pointed towards the front of your mat, go ahead and bring it down. Toes touch the mat. Take that calf stretch again. Remember, you can just stay right here and just put a little gentle love into that back leg. Or you can curl toes under on that bent knee and give yourself a little half down dog. Perfect. Knees drop back to earth. Take the same wrist stretch again if that felt good to you. Flipping palms to the ceiling, sitting back towards your heels. Or you can come up tall and just kind of move your wrists around. All right, we're going to all come to a tall knee for a moment. If you know you have sensitive knees, the easy thing to do here is just to kind of grab your mat and give yourself an extra layer to walk those knees up on. Inhale to reach the hands up nice and tall, and then you're going to take that same side body. Hand drops, extend over. Keeping those hips nice and square to the front of your mat. Inhale back to center, we'll go the other way. Really letting that side body have some space today. Back up nice and tall. Exhale those hands to your heart. Hands are going to move around back to give us a heart opener here. So your hands might just come to rest kind of on the low back. You might be able to lace. That might feel good to you. Some might be wrist to wrist. Some might be elbow to elbow lace. There's lots of different options as to where your hands land. Just try your best not to push your hips forward in trying to open the heart. You're imagining a string tied right at the middle of your t-shirt, trying to pull that slightly up towards the ceiling. Perfect. Relax those shoulders down. Unlace the hands. If you've doubled over your mat, we're going to go ahead and just grab it out from underneath your knees and find your first down dog. Hands are shoulder distance apart. Toes curl under. Hips lift up. You're in your first upside down V, at least of today's practice, and you're just going to kind of walk this out. Nice work. Remembering that when you find that upside down V, we can bend our knees, we can try to push our hips backwards. The goal isn't necessarily putting those heels all the way down on the ground, it's more about trying to flatten out that spine. Small steps with the feet, take your time, let them start to walk up to your hands, finding yourself in a forward fold. Head hanging down towards the earth, just relax into this shape. Backs of the legs should kind of be talking to you. Warm it up a little bit. Inhale to bring your hands to shins or knees. Get that spine nice and flat. Exhale, fold. Plant the feet strong. Inhale, reach all the way up over your head. Exhale, hands to your heart. Half sun salutations. We're going to take 3 of these. So we just inhale on our way up. Exhale on your way down. So you might need to bend your knees as you fold. Protect that low back. Bring yourself up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, back to standing. You know what to do. Exhale, hands to your heart. You got 2 more at your own pace. So you can continue to listen to me and follow me, or you can do your own thing. Exhale and fold. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale to standing. Exhale, hands to heart. Final one. Maybe you try this one with your eyes closed. Test the balance muscles of the ankles and feet. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale up to standing. Exhale, hands to heart. Bringing yourself to a nice standing Tadasana or mountain pose. You might bring your big toes to touch. Keep a little bit of space between your heels. Lift the shoulders towards your ears. Close the eyes. And then settle those shoulders down your spine. Make this your tallest standing posture. Really feeling as if there's a string tied to the crown of your head, pulling it up towards the ceiling. Give yourself a breath. Beautiful. If you aren't at the front of the mat, go ahead and take a step so that you can get yourself there. Right foot's going to begin to step straight backwards. Put yourself into a nice crescent lunge. So that just means toes are on the ground, heel is lifted on that back foot. It's a test of balance, so if you need to make yourself a little wider on your mat, feel free to do so. Inhale to reach the hands up. We'll exhale out to a cactus. And then we'll see if we can bring this back knee down to the mat. Now you can touch all the way down or you can hover. Once you hit this space, relax those arms, bring them in front of the heart, and then they're going to go to the outer edge of this front knee. So whatever knee you have to the front, go ahead and take the hands to the outside. From this shape, you might open the arms into a big wingspan, letting the top hand reach up towards the ceiling. A nice decent twist here. Hands come back together. Bring them back up to the heart. Open them back out to that cactus. We're going to do the thing in reverse. See if we can lift this knee back up off the ground. Good. It's a big stance. Hands go up. All right. Spin on this back heel just enough to see if we can put it on the ground. So I went too far. I'm going to adjust myself so that I can make warrior one. My toes on that right foot are pointed just towards the right edge of my mat. My front knee is bent, but it's slightly behind my ankle. Yeah, and then the arms go up again. Exhale, bring them out to cactus. You're going to do that 2 more times. Just match it with your breath. Really allow your heart to open. Release any tension hiding in your shoulders. 1 more. Hands coming back and in front of the face, palm to palm. Spin up on these back toes, so just pull that heel up, and then maybe you go to the outside edge, standing now. This again, so to test the balance. You can stay right there, or you can fly open just like you did before. Holding that shape. Knowing that we don't always have to take various versions if they don't sit with us well today. Hands coming back to the heart, and then you're just going to take a big step all the way up to the front of your mat. All right, half sun salutation. Take your time. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold. All the way back to standing, and then you're just going to settle into that Tadasana again. This will be your resting pose. Bring your big toes together if they can. A little bit of space between your heels. Shoulders lift. Settle them down. Close the eyes. And just breathe. Thinking about that tallest posture. Hips are nice and square to the front of your mat. And though your breath may be a little labored, you have control of it. You're encouraging a nice full inhale. You're very conscious and aware of your exhale. One more time. Blinking open the eyes, we'll start to step the left foot back. Now that you know the wacky sequence we got ahead of us, it might be a little easier on this side. Find that crescent lunge. Heel is up off the ground. You're testing some balance. Maybe the arms go up. You might have to kind of readjust so that you got your balance where you want it. Open it out to cactus. And then we'll begin to slowly lower this knee down to the earth. Hands come in to the heart and then to the outside edge of that kneeling knee. You can keep hands together, or remember you can fly that large wingspan, really allow for an opener through the chest, through the belly. Hands coming back together, back up to your heart. And then we open them to the cactus. Curl the toes under if they aren't already. Start to lift back up. Hands go up. And then now we're going to find warrior one. So ideally we just kind of spin on this heel, let it touch, and then adjust. I usually have to widen my stance a little bit. Left toes again are facing towards that left edge. Hands come up, and you've got 3 cactus here. So that knee stays bent. Really release any tension in those shoulders. Take your time. Close the eyes if you feel comfortable with your balance, or at least find something to focus on that's not moving. So several feet out in front of you. Pause this one. Hands come towards your heart. Start to spin on that back foot to bring it back up towards crescent, and then hands go to the outside. Now they can stay right here, or you can fly again. It's a big shape, so even if that hand comes and rests on your hip, that might be an option. Holding and staying conscious of that breath, right in that awareness. Hands come back together, up towards your heart, and maybe a big step again. And then we'll fold right into that half sun salutation, half lift. All right, this time when you fold, stay here for me. So fold into that forward fold, separate your feet perhaps as wide as the mat. And then just let things sway easy side to side. All right, as the body feels ready, we'll take your time to come up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way back up to standing, and then let those hands come back down, resting pose in that Tadasana. Again, big toes finding one another. Heels have space. Close the eyes. Pull from the crown of the head. Feeling all 4 points of the feet really connected to the earth. So think just south of your toes, and then 2 points back by your heels, and all 4 of those spots in the foot are connected to the earth. From that rooted feeling in your feet, start to bring that same awareness into your ankles, and then your calves. Allow the muscles of your legs to tighten a little bit as we stand a little taller. Hips again square. Shoulders stacked over those hips. Hands in heart. Perfect. Right foot really glues itself into the ground as we start to just build basic tree. Left toes connected to the earth. Left knee turns slightly out to the side. Maybe it's here. Maybe it's calf. Maybe it's inner thigh. Wherever you are today is fine. Find something straight out in front of you to focus your attention on, something not moving. Maybe the hands can stay at your heart, or you find them lifted above the head. If you liked that cactus shape, you might even do your tree and cactus today. Add a little extra attention to our upper back and shoulders, so it might feel nice. And again, any kind of reoccurring thoughts that show up when we're in balance, let them go. One more nice, easy breath in that shape. Lifted knee is going to come back to the center, and then drop your hands by your hips and just kind of kick this foot out in front. Play with your ankle. Lifted leg steps over standing leg. Same leg that's on top, send that arm up and over. So whatever leg you've got on top, let that arm reach up and over the side body. You can even help the wrists if you want a little extra. Perfect. Take your time, let that all settle back down. Tadasana again, big toes to touch, a little bit of space between your heels, hands at heart. Build your roots first. Glue them down into the ground, 4 points of the feet. Strong tension happening in those legs. Your glutes might kind of get a little tighter, but we don't want them clenched. No pain in the low back. And then you'll just switch sides. So your left foot becomes your standing foot. Right toes might hit the ground or come up to that inner calf. Slight outward turn of the knee. And if you liked that, reach up and then maybe into cactus. Several of you kind of played there last time. You can go there again. Or you can keep that gentle pressure right hand to hand at the heart. Hands back together, bring this knee towards center, kick it out in front, play with your ankle a little bit, give it a little love, and then crisscross that lifted leg over your standing leg, same leg as when uncrossed. That's what's going to go up and over, maybe helping that wrist get a little more length. Beautiful work. Just take your time to come out of that shape. Perfect. We're going to step up to the front of the mat if you aren't already there. And this time when you fold to the ground, we're going to step all the way to the back of the mat. So we're going to add on a little bit. Maybe you take a half lift here, and then you're going to plant your hands onto the earth. Take your time, whichever foot you want to step backwards. You might go to plank, or you might just kind of drop these knees to the ground. That's okay too. So you can be in a high plank, or you can be on plank in your knees. And then we're just going to gradually lower ourselves to the earth. So for this, keep those elbows glued to the sides of the body. Elbows don't go out to the side. And we just lower belly all the way to the ground. You're resting everything on the earth here. Maybe your forehead even drops to the ground. Drop and pull those shoulders down away from your ears. And then when the next inhale happens, hands placed just outside the armpits. You'll take an easy inhale and lift only your top half. Cobra. Exhale back down. So just take your time. These don't have to be very big. I just kind of showed it as a bigger cobra, but if you just want to barely lift, that's good too. Just keep it matching your breath. So you're inhaling when you go up. I'll listen to the earth. Legs are alive. Exhale, gentle back down. One more time. Gentle back down. Perfect. Taking your time, we're going to bring your hands out in front of you here. So walk them straight out. Feel the coolness of this floor. And then you're going to let your arms get wider. So you've got them straight out in front. Now you're going to take them to more of like a Y shape or a V shape. And then you'll inhale and lift. Hands kind of plant just on the earth here. This is often called seal pose because we kind of look like a seal. Hands are wide. See how that feels in the body. If your low back is bothered, elbows go to the earth. Engage your lower half. And then try to lift up elbows. You shouldn't feel anything really in your low back. This is a good heart opener, shoulder opener. Relax the neck. Send it back down. Bring your hands over to the middle of the mat. Make a little pillow for your forehead. Bend your knees, flex the feet up to the ceiling. And then just let those feet sway side to side. Reset anything, even though I said you shouldn't be feeling a lot in your back. It sometimes happens. So anything that needs a little reset here. From this position, we're going to stay right here, head resting on that gentle pillow. And we're going to allow our left knee to come up towards the front of the mat. So that just means you'll have to turn your left foot so that the inside sole is touching the ground. And you're going to pull that left knee up a little bit towards your left elbow. So your inner thigh is down towards your mat, your right leg is long and extended. If you've got any kind of crampiness that's happening in your hip, you need to lower that knee a little bit, resituate. This is a half frog. I have no idea if you at home can see what I'm doing. Hopefully you can. Gosh. Someday, get it right. All right, so this should feel a little more restful, obviously. Lots of weight resting down into the floor. Inner thigh getting some decent opening, outer hip. And then slowly relax that knee back down. We're going to go to the other side. So it's almost like you're climbing a ladder, or, I don't climb ladders with my knees outward, but, you got the idea. You're going to slide that opposite knee up. Sometimes belly sleepers sleep like this. So if you're a belly sleeper, this might be a little too comfortable. So just relax that belly into the earth. Again, if you've got any kind of tension in your forehead, feel free to kind of roll the middle of the forehead back and forth on your hands. So I said, as a little massage for the forehead, it might feel nice. Perfect. I'm going to give you an option to bring that foot back down. And then you can give me one more on your belly here, whether it's cobra in the traditional sense, hands on either side. Maybe you take something that looks like Superman, your arms are straight out, your toes lift, and you kind of balance right on your core. Maybe you reach hands around back and give yourself more of a full locust with those hands connected. Just depends. What feels good to you today as we continue to open the heart, relax those shoulders. Come out of whatever shape you've chosen, gently, slowly, with intention. And walk the hands back as far as the breastbone. Elbows come close to the sides of the body. Curl the toes under, push to either a high plank or plank on your knees. And then shift to your down dog. Back up to that high dog position. See if your right foot can leave the floor. Three-legged dog, maybe roll around the right ankle a little bit, point and flex the toes, and bring that right foot down. Left foot leaves the floor, point and flex toes, roll around ankle, and bring it down. And then knees are going to drop into mat, but we're going to look for wide knees. So see if you can send your right knee towards the right edge of your mat, left knee towards your left edge. Bring your big toes to touch and settle the chest and belly all down through the middle. So this is child's pose, but with wide knees. Again, another heart opener as you surrender the chest down, but maybe more into the hips as we sit those hips back towards your heels. It might feel nice to plant the elbows on the earth, but bring your hands together to prayer. And then just tuck these hands right behind the back of the head. The further you walk your elbows up the mat, the more stretch you'll feel down your triceps, along the edges of your upper back. Closer we pull those elbows in, softer we can make that. So you just decide what's going to be your best option. And we'll stay in this shape for just a few more moments. Things be easy. Your hands have been in prayer. Just go ahead and slowly lower those back to earth, elbows touching ground. Bring yourself about halfway up from this child's pose, so not all the way up, just enough where you feel like you can create a little space to sway. Now, if your knees feel too wide, you might have to kind of walk those in a little closer, and then just give yourself space to sway. So your hands can be extended and you can sway, your elbows can be down on the ground and you can sway. If you've got space, maybe your neck even hangs heavy and kind of, for lack of describing words, sways side to side. Perfect. From there, we'll come back up to a tabletop just long enough to get the legs out from underneath of us and get onto our seat. Soles of feet are going to look for one another. Knees are going to be bent out towards the sides of your mat in somewhat of a butterfly or a bound angle shape. Knowing the tighter you pull those ankles in, the deeper the stretch. So if that feels too big for you today or this isn't working for you, go ahead and bring those feet a little further away. You might have to adjust your seat, your cushion underneath of you so that you can really feel connected to the earth. And then revisit anything that the neck might be asking. So close your eyes, make some observations about your shoulders and your neck. Find those little spots of tension. And then treat them to just a little bit more stretch. For some of you, your neck might be feeling okay. You might choose to just drop your chest deeper towards your feet. More of a relaxed state here. And then we'll begin to take our time, bringing the chest back up, standing those knees up towards the ceiling. Plant the feet on the ground just long enough to reset. Hands are going to come behind you. And you just give it one more heart opener. So you have option to stay right here. You can begin to lift the hips a little bit, maybe take a crab shape. Some might choose for a little more strengthening and do reverse plank. Or you can do staff. So staff pose is seat on the ground, hands on either side, just a little bit of activation for the triceps, as if you're trying to lift your toe up off the ground, but it's not really going to lift. You can take any of those three options, staff, crab, or reverse plank, and you're just going to take about 2 or 3 breaths. So if there isn't much left in the tank, just take staff. If your wrists feel like they're bothering you, you can make fists. You can use a set of blocks, or you can just skip it. All right, relax those arms. Walk the feet off the mat a little bit again. Take a quick peek over your shoulder. If you have any props with you today you want to use for relaxation or our final poses, feel free to reach for those, whether that's a sweater or a blanket or an eye pillow, blocks. Just start to head back to your back. I'm going to turn just a little bit sideways so I can still see you. Just relax back onto your back. If you need something underneath your head, feel free to reach for that. And just take your time here. So as you hit the earth, I want you to just kind of listen to what feels good to you. These knees swaying side to side might be a good place to start. Maybe you hug the knees into your chest and give yourself that ball shape again. I'm going to give you one more option for things here on your back. And then I'll start to just let you take over. So if you'd like to follow along, feel free. If you have other poses that are speaking louder to you, you can always listen. especially if they're calm. Walking those feet a little bit more back up the mat. We're going to take one last bridge, and then we'll do a pigeon stretch on your back. So that bridge pose, hands on either sides of the hips, begin to lift the hips up off the earth. If you have something under your head here, it might need to be removed. Just see how your neck feels. If you have a block and you want to slide it under your back, feel free to turn this into a little bit more restful version. But if it feels good to open that heart, feel free. We're not going to stay here too terribly long, so those of you who are not using a block, if you're ready to come down at any point in time, feel free. If you've got a block under there and you want to stay for a few more breaths, have at it. Those who were doing traditional bridge and have lowered to the ground, maybe you choose to just lift your feet up in the air for a moment. Give yourself kind of a waterfall pose, allowing blood flow to move from your feet back towards your heart. Of course, if plow or shoulder stand is more your style, you certainly can take either of those shapes. And if the hamstrings get loud again, just kind of march the feet on the ceiling. All right, as you feel ready, we'll come out of that waterfall shape. Put your right foot on the floor. Bring your left foot over just below the knee or above the knee, however you want to think about it. And you're creating a figure four. So this figure four shape can stay right here on the earth. You might just kind of wave side to side, or you might invite that right foot up off the ground. Maybe you hug around the backs of the thighs, or you send one hand through the middle to grab on the back side of that leg. Whatever you prefer here, just take your time. Starting to release yourself from that figure four. We'll transfer everything to the other leg. So left foot's on the ground, right foot comes over towards that left knee. You might sway side to side again or lift that left foot up off the earth. Taking grab to the backs of the thighs or one in between and one around the back there. Those look great. Just relax. Really be conscious of your breath. Allow the muscles of your face to relax. Spine to really make connection with the earth. Everything to get a little quieter, a little softer. And as this starts to feel complete on this side, you can slowly lower those feet back down to ground. Maybe you allow both knees to fall all the way to the right hand side. Arms might stretch out to T. Of course, you can take the leg that is on top and let it stick straight out to the side. So if you're on to the right, maybe your left leg goes long across the body for a deeper twist. Relaxing in that twist for a few more breaths. And then we'll take time. Maybe hands need to come help the knees. Let them come back through center. Reset the spine, adjusting where you are on your mat. If you need to adjust your hips a little bit, feel free. And then let your knees fall to the other side. Arms again might stretch out into that T shape. Of course, whatever leg's on top might extend long and across that leg. Unwinding from that twist when you feel ready, taking hands to the outer edges. Just be gentle. Slowly stand those knees back up. See how the back feels. It might feel nice to hug those knees in tight. Move into bound angle with soles of feet touching knees, falling towards outer edges of the mat. Or maybe just a traditional savasana makes sense now. Wherever you are in this journey, wherever you are in today's practice, if you're ready for rest, feel free to listen. If you feel a little anxious still, it might be nice to take one more pose. This bound angle often can help get you back in connection with that breath. Perhaps resting your right hand on your heart and your left hand across the belly. Encourage those same belly breaths that we played with at the beginning of practice. Allowing the hand to rise towards the ceiling on your inhale and fall towards the floor on your exhale. Rising towards the ceiling on your inhale and falling to the floor on your exhale. If at any point in time you'd like to move from that bound angle to just more of a traditional savasana with legs long and extended, or maybe bent knees to serve your low back. However you'd like to finish out today's practice, I encourage you to find that calm, gentle state within your body, where we can release any remaining stresses that might be weighing physically on the body, mentally, or emotionally on the heart. Let these final moments of today's practice be what you need them to be. A quiet space to let everything settle back into place. And if our mind tries to steal us from this quiet space, just come back to your breath. Remembering the slow, steady inhale and the easy exhale. Slowly starting to become aware of your breath. Allowing some gentle movements to come back into your body. This might be easy opening and closing of the hands, wiggling of the toes. If your knees have been bent, you might want to straighten them, or if your legs have been straight, you might want to bend them. Your head might sway side to side on the earth. And you might just start to create little movements in the body to roll you to rest on your right hand side. Using your right arm as a pillow, we'll take a side lying savasana just for a few moments. This just elevates your heart. Just everything come back slowly and steady. Hugging those knees in close if that feels good, in somewhat of a fetal position, really resting on your side with the breath. Stay slow. Pressing into the earth when you feel ready. We'll close today's class seated. So you can push into the ground, taking your time to come back up to a seated posture. Maybe closing the eyes, bringing palm to palm near your heart center. I greatly appreciate you making this time for yourself. Not only bringing your physical body to the mat, but your mind and spirit as well, to just move and breathe alongside all of us here at SIFT. May you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you again. Namaste. Thank you guys so much.